the topic of our lesson, respiratory organs and gas exchange. Respiration is a main vital function of the body, including the intake of oxygen into the body. It's used for the oxidation of organic substance with the release of energy and the removal of carbon dioxide from the body. Breathing is a vital function. Let's try figure this out. Hold your breath for 5 seconds and listen your sensations. Did you feel it? We are suffocating? Conclusion: cells don't have enough oxygen. And where do cells oxygen from? Today in the lesson we will find out together what the role of respiration is for the body and in what direction of evolutionary development of respiratory organs in animals living on our planet went. When talking about breathing, scientists often use the term gas exchange. And that's right. Respiration is a process that provides gas exchange between the body and the environment. A single-cellular amoeba, no larger than 1 millimeter, lives in water and breathes the entire surface of the body. Water-soluble oxygen enters the cell. Complex organic substances in the cell are oxidized by oxygen. As a result, the energy necessary for life is released. Food produces water and carbon dioxide, which are eliminated from the body. So do all the simplest animals. Multicellular coelenterids, free-living flatworms and roundworms, don't have special respiratory organs and breathe like protozoa, the entire surface of the body. But more complex organisms are, the more ardent the problem of the gas exchange in for them. Marine annelids and aquatic arthropods develop frizzy gills, outgrowths of skin on both sides of the body. Washed inside with blood, they provide animals with oxygen. Shellfish that live in water breathe in a similar way. In land mollusks, the gills are replicated by an air-breathing organ. They get a lung. The free edge of the mantle fuses with the body wall, and the remaining small hole forms a breathing hole. From the mantle cavity, the mollusk's lung is formed. Interestingly, a large pond cat lives in water, but breathes easily. For this, it rises to the surface of the water every 20 minutes for the breath of air. Arthropods, depending on whether live in water or land, have different respiratory organs for breathing in water along with the general surface of the body. There are special organs of water respiration gills. Insect larvae that live in water also have gills. Arthropods that switched to a terrestrial lifestyle and faced with the problem of breathing atmospheric oxygen successfully slowed it. They have developed systems for transporting gases include the body, such as tracheas and the pulmonary sacs. Arachnids breathe with help of lung sacs. Scorpions have lungs, spiders have lungs and trachea, and the ticks have only trachea. Some small arachnids have 2 respiratory organs, and the gas exchange occurs the inner surface of the body. The lancelet is the lowest chordate animal. It lives in water. It easily assumes that the respiratory system will also be connected with the aquatic environment. In that the respiratory system of the lancelet is represented by gill slits penetrate the wall of the interior intestine, the pharynx. The gill slits are hidden under the skin and open into the special near gill cavity with frequent water change. The evolution of fish led to the appearance of the complex gills apparatus. It consists of gill The evolution of fish led to the appearance of a complex gill apparatus. It consists of gill arches and gill lobes. Gill lobes are permeated with blood vessels. Water ingested by the fish enters the gill's cavity, passes through the gill lobes of the outside, washes them, and supplies of the blood with oxygen. The main organ of extracting organ from the water is the gills. The shape of the gills varies depending on the species and the mobility. These are either produced with folds and pollen, bundles of mucous tissue that have rich network of capillaries. All these divides the image and creating the largest surface are with the smallest volume. Interestingly, many fish swim with their mouths open, increasing the flow of the water through. Most fish breathe oxygen dissolved in water, but there are species that have partially adapted to air breathing. Lungfish have air respiration. Amphibians are the first animals that came out the land, which developed the organs of atmospheric respiration lungs due to the primitive structure of the lungs. The amount of oxygen entering through the lungs is not enough for the body. So the skin, which contains numerous blood capillaries, also takes part in breathing. With a fork, you can see that fork's throat is pulled down several times a second, creating opportunity for air enter the oral cavity and from there into the lungs. Back air is pushed off by the action of muscles. This is how a fork breathes. In turn, adapts to living in a more arid environment. The skin becomes dense and the breathing is carried out by the lungs. Reptiles, in connection with the final exit to land, acquire further complication of the respiratory system. Skin respiration disappears and the respiratory surface of the pulmonary sacs increases due to the appearance of the large number of the bronchial septa in which blood capillaries pass. The lungs of the reptiles are the only respiratory organ. In reptiles, the airways became more complicated. Cartilage rings form in the trachea. The trachea is divided into two bronchi. The respiratory system of crocodiles is interesting. Well-developed lungs are located in the chest cavity. Then dividing air is held in the lungs for a long time by a glottis valve. The lungs aren't divided into lobes and are engaged in a distant network of the blood vessels. Each lung is included in the chest cavity and has a large surface of the gas exchange. Breathing is carried out through the intercostal muscles and the diaphragm. The frequency and the depth of respiratory movements increase with increasing activity metabolic rate. For example, an American alligator at rest at a temperature of 28 degrees makes only 3 breathing movements per minute. The respiratory system of birds, if not the most perfect, then the most complex among vertebrates. The airways of birds begin with the nostrils, continue into the nasal cavity, larynx, then follows the trachea, bronchi, lungs, and air sacs. The lungs of the birds are dense spongy bodies. Air sacs are located between the internal organs, penetrate into the hollow bones. Between the muscles under the skin, the rest the bird's breathing is provided by chest movements. Descending the sternum increases its volume and scratches the air sacs. Air passes through the lungs and inhalation occurs. Then when the sternum is raised, an inhalation is performed. In flight, chest movements are excluded and breathing occurs due to the movement of the wings. The swimming stretches the air sacs and air is sucked into them through the lungs. Lowering the wings causes an explanation. When inhaled, some of the air passes quickly through the lungs and gives up the little oxygen. When you exhale, this oxygen-rich air passing from the air sacs through the lungs for the second time gives up oxygen. The phenomenon is called dew breathing. The air sacs are several times larger than the lungs in volume. It extracts 40 ml of oxygen from 1 liter of air. It's more than a mammal. The frequency of respiratory movements depends on body weight. The smaller mass of the bird, the more respiratory movements. The mallard duck has 1060 respiratory movements at rest, and a sparrow and lark have 60 and 100 respiratory movements per minute. Penguins can dive to a depth of 550 meters and hold their breath for up to 20 minutes. This is also due to the peculiarities of breathing. Mammalian respiratory system is perfect. It provides intensive gas exchange in the body. Mammalian lungs are two spongy sacs in which the airways, the bronchi, are difficult to breathe out. The bronchi end in a High number of thin-walled vesicles called alveoli. In the walls of the alveoli, gas exchange occurs, during which the blood gives up the carbon dioxide contained in it and is enriched with oxygen. Mammals that live in water breathe with their lungs. The whale fills its hog lungs with air, but at depths of pressure of water squeezes the air out of the respiratory organs into special air cavities in the cranial bones, and only during the ascent, when the pressure decreases, the pulmonary alveoli are filled again. The whale uses up the supply of oxygen obtained by inhaling much more fully than any land animal. There is almost no oxygen in the gas that the whale exhales after diving. Dolphins are very good swimmers. They can hold their breath of 20 minutes and dive almost 550 meters. Dolphins can do this because they have special lungs. So they aren't much larger than humans, but they are much more effective. With each breath, the dolphin processes about 80% of the air in the lungs. In humans, this figure is only about 17%. The blood and the muscles can also store and transport more oxygen than humans. Let us summarize the evolution of the respiratory organs in the respiration of the chordate tape. Lancelets have gill slits, fish have gills, amphibians have developed lungs and skin, and reptiles have lungs with seta. Birds acquired lights and air bags, and mammalian lungs from the alveoli. The process of evolution of the respiratory organs in animals followed the path of communication of allowed animals to adapt to different living conditions.